Profit. It is April 4th, and that just means it's Monday, and it's time to look through some domain names. With me, this is always the best hour of my week. I get to come together with you and browse through. This week looks like over 100 or 500,000 domain names that we're going to filter down to hopefully the best ones right to the top. Then we're going to look through those, toss them into SpyFu, and SpyFu being a tool that allows us to analyze them some. And then we're going to find the best ones so you can make a decision whether you want to develop that domain name or pass. But if you develop it, if you decide to take on the mission, you may very well find a domain name that could be the home base, the foundation, the temple o domain for you and your future. Like, you could find something great. Who knows? We'll find out when we go through the domain names later on. So domain developers, make sure you say hi in the chat. Let us know you're here, because the chat and the people all that are joining us here are all the best peeps. I'm just the guy on the screen, but the chat is where it's at. So make sure to join us over on YouTube. I'm Drew Wash's Domain to Profit. Chat with you just after this.
From domain to profit, from a .com to a business idea. Take a domain name, develop an income from domain to profit. We'll show you how. Domain to profit, from domain to profit. Join Drew Wash and get started right now.
Yes, I am that guy. I'm silly like that, but that's okay. That's hopefully why you guys are here, ladies, gentlemen. See Fred in here. Met with Fred actually just last week. So he came into Cincinnati and joined me. We managed to have lunch. So stuttering. Oh yeah, we'll just get off that. But actually, here I'll just show this over here. Fred joined me in Cincinnati last week. So if you come to Cincinnati, make sure you hit me up, because if you manage to come here, I'd love to get to meet you in person. I mentioned to him, it's like, I do this. This is my opportunity to be a domain nerd, but also interact with others who are out to create something. So, but Fred, nice to see you last week. Nice to see you first in the chat also. And then we got Stuart here. Nice. Hey, how's it going? Indeed. Lee, I see you there. Always nice to have you as here. Sup, Matt. Sup, Michael. And yes, it was really good. Yeah. Someday I'll charge for it or something. Nah, that's not true. I got like my mentors and stuff like that. They're like, oh yeah, we'll get together. You can pay a bunch of money. Ian, nice to have you. And I don't know, Matt, what are we going to call you? Like, we have a couple Matts. We're going to have to number you guys or something, but maybe we'll have to go with nicknames. Okay. Well, nice to have you all here. As I mentioned, we are going to dive in, search through domain names as we do each week, and get this. I actually, just before the show, signed up and paid for SpyFu. So now we get to actually use the tool that I prefer, and they get to make money off me, which is good. This is a business show, value for value, right? We get value from them, we get value from for us. So I'm going to share out screens. We'll see what shows up. There we go. SpyFu. Going to go over to expireddomains.net. And as you can see right down here, if this is this side actually, if you've not joined the show very often, or this is maybe you're watching the restream, not sure what this guy Drew's talking about with domain names, I filter the domain names, and what you'll see is there are over 500,000 domain names expiring just on GoDaddy over the next week. So what we do is I have a saved search, and I'm going to go in and just click a button and take those domain names and filter them down to under 100,000. So I just got rid of 80% of all the domain names, took it down to less than 95,000 domain names. And then I'm going to go over here and click valuation. And that's just going to order it by valuation. And that's the fictional value that GoDaddy applies with the domain names. And we use that to put the most valuable ones, in their opinion, on top, you'll find that we just skip over a lot of them, but because they don't consider domain development as their priority, where here on Domain to Profit, we look for domains that we can develop, domains that we can turn into a business, turn into a livelihood, turn into some miraculous something, some business for ourselves. So here we are live up on the screen. I'm going to leave that up down there. If you want to find and watch about a 5-minute video over how to set up the filters that I use, that is all there. It's about a minute worth of content, but there is, it's a 5-minute video. So let me mute this. No, sorry, I got another audio thing coming in. I'll try to get rid of that. It's live. It's live. There's nothing I can do about it. Okay. So we are here over on expireddomains.net, which is a free tool. And they just grab all the domain names that are expiring all across the internet, across numerous companies, not just GoDaddy. And then we look through the expiring ones. So these are the domain names that people like me, people like many others are, they have them, and for whatever reason, they're either letting them expire, or maybe they forgot about them. Maybe they have domain names at 100 different registrars, like many of us, and they just forgot to renew one, or a credit card. Who knows what the cause is? Long story short, they're expiring domain names. These are like domains available for you if you buy them at auction, so they could be really good, which you'll see here. Hopefully, we'll find some. So what a great world, the domain name world. So right up here, we have our first one, which is greatworld.com. But we're not going to talk necessarily about that. That's the one that GoDaddy considers the most valuable domain name. I think we can do better. So let's zoom out just a little bit. They value that at about $10,000. It's at $1,300 currently, ends in 4 days. Great World? I don't know. My timetable? I don't know. I don't know what you would do with that necessarily. Nice shot. I like that a little bit. I love those marketing keywords that that we kind of say to each other. You know, nice shot. In golf, for example, boom. Oh, nice shot. Basketball, nice shot. We got March Madness happening right now. So those are kind of nice little phrases that you could put into a marketing campaign, but it falls more on a brandable or a investable domain name. Meaning if you buy that, you would make your money most likely by either building something and branding it as Nice Shot, or you would maybe find somebody that wants to run a marketing campaign or something on niceshot.com. It's not really something you would develop unless you, like again, maybe you're building a golf app and niceshot.com is the name of it, but you're not tapping into the value underneath that domain name. Instead, you're building value on top of it. I'll go with that. Healthcareconsultants.com. Is there such a thing as healthcare consultant? So here we go. Let's go with niceshot.com. We're going to toss this into SpyFu. SpyFu.com is a free tool. What you're going to see here is a paid version of SpyFu, which it may look a little different from yours, but probably not much. Basically, there's just some data not blocked off. But niceshot.com, we truncate, we get rid of the end for the .com piece. We type it in, and now it's going to pull up, voila, 540 searches kind of available traffic-wise. And then down below that, we see, hey man, nice shot. Nice shot, hey man. No, maybe not. Okay, so estimated clicks kind of available. We got 220, 540. Basically, we're looking low numbers, less than 1,000 traffic visitors available for this. This is what we get towards a lot of times. This is what I like to see. So if we're talking about development, we're talking about profiting and getting revenue out of this, We want to see a high cost per click. I like to see $2 or higher. And we also want to see advertisers, ideally double-digit advertisers. So we see 0. So that's kind of because it's a brandable. You can build something on this, and then lots of people will start to search for it, and then these numbers will change. But because nobody's built anything on it, nobody just searches. I mean, maybe they look for YouTube videos or something. Maybe. I don't know. Nice shot. Nice. I don't know. Okay. Well, we're going to skip over that one, which is kind of what I expected to see. I will click on it real quick just to show you the GoDaddy information. So that ends in 2 days. And right over here, you'll find that it is $18.85 is the amount that it is going for currently. I could see it going for a little bit of money. So obviously $1,800 is quite a bit. So my timetable blinked. A lot of brandables going. Bio Cafe. So a lot of looks like, oh, culinary school. Okay, here we go. This is what we're talking about. This is the difference between a developable domain name and just a good domain name. You'll see a lot of these domain names that are on like top of the list here. They're good domain names. You'd love to own them. Put a blog up on them, create something on them. But realistically, they don't define a business. They don't give you access to an industry that you don't already have access to. But if you own culinary school, I'm clicking on it, make sure the auction is running. Culinaryschool.com. Let's say you know nothing about cooking. Me, I can make like some basic chili. I can make, some basic stuff. I'm a guy, you know, I can make tacos. I love tacos. I'm known as nacho guy. I can make some nachos. But let's say you want access to the culinary world. So you want to maybe create a directory of culinary schools. So you may not know anything about cooking, but you do know that there is such a thing as culinary schools. And what we're going to do is we're going to get an idea of what the business might look like for culinary school. Ooh, this is why that domain name is going for so much here. So 16, so just like we saw with the last one, nice shot, couple hundred searches and so on. Culinary school, over 16,000 monthly volume is available. And that's just the available, like what you can get still from the Google, you know, from Big Brother Google, who wants to, you know, possibly get you some traffic. So this is just the perfect domain name. Let me see, going down, look at this. What did I say? Double-digit advertisers. We are at 17 advertisers paying to target culinaryschool.com. You could imagine there's online culinary schools. There are local ones all over the place. There's the event culinary schools where, like, I know me and my company, we once went as like a seasonal party, and we did a cooking like class and competition at the end. It was fun. It was an event. It was a culinary school though. And look at this, over $2. What? Okay, this is the best domain name we've had on here in a while, which you can tell by the cost. So it's already up over $3,400. It's a 2-word keyword. So, you know, very well could get 5 figures, probably won't go above that. Let's look at these numbers to come up with a value here. I mean, if you look at this here, 17 advertisers, $9 per click, tens of thousands. So 16,000 is the monthly volume. Wowzers, that's a pretty big number. A lot of times, one of the rough ways that I come up with the value is I take this number here, multiply it by the average cost per click, and you can see you're pretty much tossing on a 160,000 could potentially be the value of this domain name if you have a way to monetize the domain name. Do you have a way to monetize the domain name? How would you do it? Well, what business model would you put on culinary school? I'm glad you asked, because this one, if you look at this next column right over here, you can see that we have this one here, culinary school near me. Near me. What does near me tell us? It means people are looking for localization of this keyword. So this keyword here, these two keywords, we can target them with our domain name culinaryschool.com. Okay, we can target the culinaryschool.com, and we can localize showing local culinary schools similar to what we do on towing.com. One of my biggest profitable domain name, towing.com, localizes finding a local towing company. They pay a small monthly fee to be listed on our domain names. We have a very basic site to find them, and voila, it makes a bunch of money helping many towing companies. You can do the same thing with culinary school. And when we see near me, this is when we get to implement the local Legion 300. What would it feel like to be able to get your first 300 customers? How much would you buy a domain for if you knew that you can get your first 300 customers, or felt confident about having a process, a strategy for doing that? Well, local Legion 300 strategy that I have is simply, you just need to find that first company in each of the 300 largest cities in the United States. And there's over 300 cities that have over 100,000 population. So those are pretty big cities, decent amount of people in them, and there's over 300 of them. So you just need each of those cities, find one culinary school in each that are willing to pay you a small monthly fee, say $20. Now you're up to what, $600? Yeah, $600 or $6,000 a month in revenue with your first 300 customers. So if you were able to pull off $6,000 a month in revenue, felt very confident, or rather confident you can get to that point, a local search domain name where you are just showing customizable profiles for these companies, you get 300 of them in say a year and a half that you can build to that, and you can generate $18,000 or $6,000 a month. How much would that domain name be worth for you? I would guess it will very much go for, it's already at $3,400. As a domain developer, I imagine this one would probably fall in the range of $6,800, in that range for me, possibly more. I got to kind of look at the numbers on it. I may end up making a run at it. I'm not sure. Let me give you a little bit of warnings on it. Everything looks great on it, right? Well, one of the things that we're going to run into, let me go back to Spy Fu here. One of the things we're going to run into is culinaryschool.com is something that you'll see here with these. So look at this second word, what people are searching for. It is divided between culinary school and culinary schools. Okay, so when we talked about back over here, taking that, $9 per click, multiplying it by the amount of searches, and that kind of gave us that idea that, oh my goodness, this is a $160,000 domain name. Well, now we have to realize that $160,000 is going to be divided up over multiple domain names. How many domain names can target the same traffic? Culinary school, culinary schools. So we know that we have two that would greatly target that same traffic. Culinary school, I mean, those are pretty much it. So divide the 160 by 2, you could see that it's pretty much worth, based on a pay-per-click. The high estimate, I would put it about $80K. But again, just want to put that warning out there, which is this domain name is going to divide its value between the plural and the singular. I typically like the plural versus the singular. So enough time on culinary school, but it is exciting to see such a good domain name. Do you want to make a run at it? Are you a cook? If you're in love with that domain name, for sure, maybe reach out to me on Twitter. I will put more into it. In fact, let's see here. I don't want to bid on it quite yet, but I will easily go above $5,000 on this domain name. But I want to figure out, I want to get my ducks in a row on it, because I may want to go higher. If you're interested in it, maybe reach out to me on Twitter, or just bid against me in the auction. There's no hard feelings if you win. It happens all the time. I win some, I lose some. I prefer to win, especially on a good domain like that, but So culinaryschool.com. And hopefully it actually reaches auction. Sometimes those really good ones, they get pulled at the last minute. What do you guys think? I can't believe the chat's not like lit up with people like, oh my gosh, culinaryschool.com, unless I'm not missing. Am I missing something? No. Got Edward popped in. Hey, Edward. And yeah, I saw the Bio Cafe too. Like, that does sound unsanitary for sure, Matt. Like, I was like, Bio Cafe, like bio break. Yeah, got nothing. I would much rather go to culinary school. Maybe culinary school, you can learn how to do something for the Bio Cafe. Food room. Yeah, I imagine that one will, like, it does. It ends up being too expensive for most, which is part of what it's like. The show is in some ways about showing the most expensive domain names and how they gather their value. So yeah, I mean, I always encourage everybody, don't spend your, okay. Let me just kind of say this a little bit. I have 1,000 domain names. I have 2 of them that make pretty good money. Towing.com, and then one that I started when I was really young, transportreviews.com. I have all these domain names. I have a company of multiple programmers and multiple people that help me do everything that I do, and we still really only have Towing.com as our primary development. Point being, better than having a bunch of smaller projects that are just never able to get your time and attention and focus, which we have some of those. We have, DJs.com, photobooths.com, which we tried to launch those kind of going into COVID world. Horrible timing. Killed those industries for a few years, and now we can start to talk about redeveloping them and so on. My point is, you're better off to choose one that you freaking know is a badass domain name and going after that one with everything you have in your spirit versus a couple weeks building something and then losing interest and moving on. Now, I am the king of spending a couple weeks on something, building it and moving on. So I know that it's not an easy thing to kind of say like, hey, focus and move and go with it. But that's how Towing.com was a success for me. It was everything to me. My freaking house was on the line. I knew it could be something, and I went after it with everything I had. And I reaped the success of that every single month as of this point. So when it comes down to culinary school or so on, when you see a home run that connects with you deeply, go for it. Go for it. Make that everything. And don't put your house on the line, for goodness sake. I don't want people losing their houses and coming after me. That was a crazy thing to do, but go for it with everything you have in you, and leave no room to think another project is going to be better. So if you're watching the show and you're kind of like, oh, I love this domain name, and you're doing all these $100 bids and things, it's probably going to be better off to find the home run and go all in on it as of some point. Culinary school may be that for somebody out there, especially if you love food. So kind of wanted to mention that. Like, I feel like, as much as I'd love all my other domain names to be as big as Towing.com, really, for the most part, it is the main breadwinner of the entire company. I know that we can do the same thing on other domain names, but it's not like it's easy. It requires time and commitment, and I just prefer to experiment and try new things. But Towing.com makes that possible. Okay, just kind of wanted to highlight that if you manage to get great domain names and they're so cheap, they're going to sit in your portfolio and you're not going to be committed to them. So, okay. Drew rant over. Okay, here's one that I'll just use as the It's been a while since I feel like we've had one for this. The middle S. Warning, middle S is dangerous. It is something that, especially English as a second language, they sneak that middle S in there. Gadget store. Maybe. Could do something with it. But gadgets with an S really, when there's a middle S, you need to just verify that it makes sense. It's one of the, it's nuanced. It's very, sometimes it may make sense. Other times it doesn't. And if English is not your primary language, you kind of maybe get somebody that you can bounce things off of. Because in this case, that may seem like a good domain name, probably did to the person that registered it, but it's actually a really bad domain name that's not worth registering. That happens often with those middle yeses. Backyard living? What do you think? Backyard? I like backyard living. Isn't that a phrase? Let's toss that one into some stuff. So maybe it looks like Lee has, what was it? We had a domain name a couple of weeks ago, rapidbusinessloan.com. It seems that Lee has a rapid business loan able to get, put the house on the line. You and your horse domains. And yeah, here we go. I got my, the missus. My wife is chiming in saying pizza oven, which is, we've talked about putting like a brick oven pizza thing in the backyard. So maybe backyard living is that opportunity. Maybe we can get somebody to put a free pizza oven in our backyard in exchange for a listing on backyardliving.com. Let's see what it's doing. Sounds good, right? Sounds like a magazine. You can see like a lifestyle magazine, backyard living, me laying out in my hammock, swaying in the wind, getting eaten by mosquitoes like crazy because I don't know what it is. It's like the white-skinned, like pale guy looks like lunch to mosquitoes. Okay, 300 searches, not really setting any records. Got some advertisers targeting it. So at least people are putting money behind the term. 64 cents. Not really setting much of a record here. Not really much happening. Looks like outdoor living is a better term. Backyard living. Backyard living ideas. There's some keywords. Something maybe worth doing. So if you like, maybe you build sheds or sell sheds or do something already, this could be a domain that you could add on to versus maybe like an all-in type of domain name. We'll just kind of move on from that one. I do like it though. Pretty fun domain name. I will bookmark that one. Although I'll try to remember to do a summary at the end of it. Masters Club. See, that's one where the middle S kind of makes sense. Masters Club. I don't know. Also, kind of weird timing right here, dropped right in the middle of the show. But I do have I'm going to be setting up a NFT YouTube channel. Anybody interested in that? I'll share at the end of the show and up on Twitter what the URL is. To get to that as of some point. It's for NFT marketing specifically, a little more diving into the marketing side of things, which we need to do more here as well. See, I saw one here, wine special. Let's check that one out. The wine get almost a little too much attention in domain names. I think it's like a 3V side effect. So this one in one day, over $3,000 again. Wine domain I don't know. People, Gary V, he managed Vanderchuck or whatnot. He made a bunch of money off a wine website. And I think people associate that with there's easy money there or something. I'm not sure what the deal is, but I see wine domain names all the time going for big money. I don't know. I don't 100% understand it. The keywords, the cost per clicks and things just don't validate the prices that these go for typically. 180 searches. So we see the numbers pretty low, really low clicks. And look at this. Like, nobody's advertising for it. Nobody's like setting themselves up as a wine specialist. 45 cents per click. They're just not really, you know, look at the wine expert gets some, you know, sommelier. Is that right? Sommelier. There's, it's one of those weird sayings. Sommelier. Dagnabbit. My wife Crystal can't even help me with that one. Sommelier. Some French word or something. Okay. I'm never going to be, it's not coming to my brain, which drives me nuts. So there's just not much money there. So why are people putting in over $3,000 for it? Maybe there's some SEO juice. Yeah. You see these numbers here in these columns. These are referring to some search engine optimization. It has some backlinks and things to it. Let me see. So you can see these numbers here. You know, there's some clicks and backlinks and stuff. I can't justify it. Like, I don't like it. So I'm skipping over it. What would you do with it though? Maybe you're a wine specialist. Sommelier. Dagnabbit. And you can't even type it and tell me. But okay. 30 minutes in, I feel like we've had some good domain names. I was really worried because I was like, should I try to prepare a little content? Wasn't really feeling some of the domain names that were on top of the list, but it's paid off. Here we go. Matt in my office mentioned this one to me. How freaking crazy is it that Video Apps is? We were just talking about this. I always say the worst domain name that I've ever purchased was Video Software. That's not true. A domain name that I consider amongst the worst domain name purchases that I've made was videosoftware.com for $20,000. Is it worth it? Probably. But did I have a way to monetize it? No. I knew it was a good domain name, and some of the appraisal tools said it was like worth a lot. So I was like, oh yeah, I'll do it for 20. Like, dummy. It was stupid. And then I was talking with the guys in the office, like, you know, the word software is probably, it's not as common as what it used to be. In fact, let's go check out a tool that we don't visit enough, trends.google.com. And Trends, what this does with Trends is it allows you to check out, well, how a software performs over time, or how a keyword performs over time. So let me let me drop myself off. It actually is holding pretty steady. There's not, if anything, it's actually increasing a little bit, although we're this last 12 months. Let's look at all time. Okay, this is more like it. So let me try to pull myself off the screen here because I want to show this here. So I was talking to Matt in my office about this, about the idea that that software is a decreasing importance as far as a keyword. And you can see here, it is indeed a decreasing value. So my videosoftware.com is actually decreasing in value over time. The reason why I mention that is because we discussed and we said probably Video Apps is going to be a better one. So just so happens, videoapps.com. I have a $20,000 domain name that I purchased for $20,000. Now, I'm not happy with my purchase, but I bought it for $20K. And the debate in the office last week was, is Video Apps a better domain name? I don't know. So this is going to be a good test to kind of gauge how it compares. Now, I will say video software does not share value with plural and singular because video softwares isn't a thing, where video app versus video apps is. So that's going to kind of, it's not really apples to apples, but it's certainly, I mean, $45 currently, videoapps.com, you know, put a directory of the various video apps, either make money on the click, make money for them to show up. They can pay a monthly fee, something along those lines. Or of course, you can maybe try to make a video app yourself, something like that. But affiliate links may be the way to go with it, especially if you can get it for hundreds of dollars versus thousands. But it's great to see videoapps.com available this week. 5 days from now, $45. I would anticipate that one going very much for $1,600 to $3,000 range. In fact, if it doesn't go over $1,000, I will buy it for $1,000 or less, maybe even more. I'll have to think about it. I prefer culinaryschool.com. So, okay, let me see if I can read this. Okay, she's trying to help me out here. Somalia. Somali. See, that doesn't help. I can't do it. I can't. I know that freaking word too. That just made it worse. Now it's in my brain again. Rapidsource.com. Oh, I didn't mean to click on it. I really don't know what the heck that would be. Rapid Source. I don't know. I'm gonna actually close that. I don't want to summarize that at the end. Just because a domain name looks good, and many of these are, like if you have these in your portfolio, someday somebody will buy them from you. They're worth more than $10. Many of these are worth money. It's just a matter of development. Are they going to be the one that you go all in and develop? Probably not. Probably not. Got help? Checkman. It's kind of a fun one. Checkman. Checkman.com. Software programs, another one. So we just looked, remember we looked at that Google Trends, and we saw software just dove, right? It's a decreasing value word, which is very good to look at Google Trends for that. Like what keywords are going down versus up. Software programs, man, in the early 2000s, this would be a freaking domain name that would probably go for $20,000 or so. But it's not. It's programs.com. What the heck does it mean now? Very little, if any, value. In fact, I would avoid it like the plague. Garage doors repair. Garage door, I would want singular. So that's a middle S. That's kind of what we warn about. So could it make sense? It makes about 5% sense. Don't waste your money on a 5% importance of a domain name. I'm going to walk upstairs after the show, and my wife Crystal is going to be like, how can you not remember how to say that word? They're all going to be laughing at me, and I'm going to be like, hee, this is funny. I love being laughed at. Oh, that actually kind of brought tears to my eyes. Anyhow, I tickle myself sometimes. Tickle myself, like laughter is, does that translate everywhere? Studio Central, Painted Light, my black book, my little black book. My black book. I like the keyword. I like my as a word in front. Let me check this out. So my black book, I was thinking more along the line of they used to have like my little black book would be all my contacts or things like that. Does not translate. It doesn't stay. It's gone. I've never seen Game of Thrones, so I have no idea what her like. She has a great singing voice, but I'm not going to try to duplicate that. But yeah, I've not seen Game of Thrones to know. But she reads a book. She's reading a book to our daughter each night, and she's hilarious because she will do the characters' voices, each of them different. She's very dramatic. Our daughter is like the world's most dramatic little 7-year-old, and we always kind of like, she gets it from you. She gets it from you. And yeah, anyhow. Sauna heaters. Jazz player, man. That's freaking nice. Any other jazz lovers out there? I look up live music and stuff everywhere I go when I travel. Some places are better than others. I find some pretty good music in Vegas pretty frequently. I like jazz player. It's a fun. And the beauty of jazz is a true jazz player could pop into other bands. So a lot of professional musicians can, play with other bands and things like that. There's things like called studio drummers and things. So this actually 360. So what I'm thinking is this could be something along the line of, let me see. I don't know if people are looking for a jazz player for a band to fill in for a weekend, or somebody got sick, whatever it is, they might go to jazzplayer.com, find somebody local that could fill in for a jazz band. And no advertisers, really no money. So maybe worth a passion project for somebody. $40 if you can get it for a couple $100 and you love jazz. Maybe you're a jazz musician yourself. Could be worth something. I don't know. I like it. I do like that one. Just I'm probably not gonna. I would prefer it to get in the hands of somebody that's really passionate about jazz and wants to create a solution there. The adult domain names that cross the screen sometimes. It's like domain names are not. If you blush easy, which I actually do blush easy, you got to watch out with domain names. You get quite a few adult ones. I've said on numerous occasions, like adult domain names, like they powered the internet. They're part of how the internet was born, especially media on the internet. Everybody wanted to have a way to look at their adult content, and the internet was perfect for it. XCXXXU, Classic Jungle. Getting a little slower here, aren't we? We wasted all the good domains up top. Didn't waste them. We got, here we go, Dolphin Tour. Let's see what that one's going. I wonder if there's any keyword. Okay, this one's, it's a $12 bid, so do not bid on this. If you're watching the show, do not bid on the domain name. Wait until 5 minutes left. Use the strategy that we always talk about. You do not want to alert people to the domain name if you're going to bid on this. So, okay, so here we go. We travel a lot. In fact, Crystal, my wife, who's in the chat, she still does it, but she's a travel agent, so she can book travel and things. And one of the most common things that people look to do is swim with the dolphins. They want to book a dolphin tour. So based on life experience, the keyword looks like something. And yes, there's a few hundred searches. Dolphin tours near me. You could target that keyword, which is 1,800. You can target it with dolphintour.com. Then as well as some of these other ones, Dolphin Tour near me, Savannah Dolphin Tour, Dolphin. So you can see our keyword from this domain name, Dolphin Tour, is in these other keywords that we see over here. So that's what we want to see. We want to see lots of possibility, because now we can just create a section on our site that targets Dolphin Tours near me and Dolphin Tour near me. And then we can have a whole page for Savannah Dolphin Tour, and then we could have one for Hilton Head and a page for each of these different keywords, bringing in potentially more traffic, more advertisers, more members to benefit from this domain name. That is how we can turn a domain name into a profitable business. Is if you call them and said, hey, I'm with dolphintour.com, would you be interested in showing up? And they'll be like, well, I run a dolphin tour, so that sounds like something I should be interested in. Tell me more. And you go and call a dolphin tour company with, I'm with XYZ Dolphin Tour website, and we'd like to have, like, what? Click. Like, when they get so many spam calls, it's not worth their time. So that's the access that a great defining domain name gives you, is suddenly like dolphintour.com. They assume you're authoritative and like validation, like you have the key. You have the key to get in and sound better than what you are. What I don't like to see is advertisers is low, cost per click is low. So, but the nice thing is it does appear that this domain name might go for pretty cheap, worth possibly tossing in and adding a bid on. I'm going to watch it, may even bid on it. So, and always, feel free to reach out to me on Twitter. My DMs are open. I do not want to step on people's toes. I have enough domain names, but I do like to make sure that domain names are valued. So I value them. Like I value these domain names and will often bid just to keep somebody from getting too cheap of a domain name. But if it's you, I want you to get a cheap domain name because you're a domain developer, right? I want you to take this domain name and turn it into a business. That's important to me. If I'm not going to do it, I at least want you to be able to do it. So let me know if you're going to go after something. I can at least let you know if I want it more. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Which actually, I do have a domain name. I bought a domain name this last week, a 4-figure domain name, and I bought it on accident. Believe it or not. How do you spend $1,000 some on accident? More on that in a little bit. Okay. We just now made it through our first 200 domain names. That's insane. Was that 200? Wow. Okay. I felt like that was a lot of domain names. But yeah, that was page 1. We used to get through like 600 domain names. Do I just go so much slower than what I used to? Yeah, I think I do. Okay, I have 10 minutes left. Let's see if we can find another one. Trying to decide. Let's go ahead and and that's exactly it. I mean, there's just been a lot of good ones. I mean, culinary school was worth the rant that it got for sure. So yeah, when you have those kinds of domain names, it's worth it. And I don't mention this very often, if at all. I'm not paid by GoDaddy or anybody to talk about these domain names. I make them a lot of money, but I'm not paid to do that. I'm open to them sponsoring the show, but sometimes talk just a little, maybe negative about them. But most of the people I know there are good people. I mean, I love their auction product, obviously. That's why we spend an entire hour every single week for like 88 weeks. Is this week 88? I think it's week 88. 88 weeks in a row that we've been talking about domain names every Monday at 3 p.m. Luckily, Christmas has not been on a Monday yet. Or has it? Can't remember. Okay, you can tell we're page 2. The quality has definitely dropped. Now, that does not mean much. Let me go over here and just show you. So we are in the $2,600. So over here, we have the appraisal is around $2,600, or is $2,600. But that doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean, oh, well, let's just stop looking to domains. You'll actually find there are great domain names hidden in here still often. Often, something like that. You just have to look a little bit more. So the filters that we set up look for 1 to 3 words, English words, which is what we have. But mixed in a lot of times, you just get all these domains that we see. They're 1 to 3 words, but what is a next level foods? It sounds like a brand. Sounds like it could be a good food brand, but it will be whatever you define that as. Let me see here. Dolphin Tours. I remember one of the things I remember, Jake, the very first show we ever did, we had, I think, buyahorse.com made the very first show. So I'm sure Dolphin Tours has made it. Some of these domain names they turn over every single year. Somebody will buy it, sometimes overpay for it. In fact, I can actually show you Good Pizza. Was Good Pizza on there? I didn't. One way you can check that is, when we open up yet another browser, and we will go to namebio.com, which is a nice tool. They do allow you to do some free stuff as well. I do have a paid account, which if you work in domains quite often, it's worth getting it. So they monitor all the auctions and track all the past sales of domain names, verifiable sales. So right now, Dolphin Tour, there's nothing there, but you can see Crab Island DolphinTours.com sold for $360 back in 2019. So you can type in keywords and see what domain names sold. So it's especially helpful. This can be helpful if you're doing domain name investment or just kind of wanting to find out if a domain name sold in the past. A lot of times you can find it right here on NameBio. Certainly a helpful tool. It's pretty cheap too, but lots of great data. But yeah, Dolphin Tour doesn't appear to be that was on there. So maybe it's one of those domain names that's going to get pulled back at the end. That happens a lot too. Like it goes up for auction, it shows on the list, people talk about it, and it never actually ends, and they just do it again next year. Whiskey Company? That'd be a really boring domain name. But I mean, Whiskey Company, I don't know. Work website, NetAway. Yeah, they're getting a little more sparse. So I think we'll give it a couple more. See sites reviews. Can you see that up on top? Yes. If that was site review, that'd be a pretty good domain name. Sites, though, that middle S takes a domain name that I'd be like, oh, that's an A- domain name, and just boom, sites review. Like, no, don't even bother. I wouldn't even hand register that domain name. That is like rookie bait. It's like it's just like there to make you think or make somebody that doesn't quite know how bad that middle S is on that domain name, and it just causes. I bet you that's just traded hands over and over. Sites review. Don't do it. Wouldn't even pay $12 for it. I mean, if you want to scrap at it, I'm sure there's people that could buy it and turn it into a couple $100. But ooh, look at this one. Here's another thing that we could talk about. This one here, they have it as photo omission, but it's actually photo omission, right? So tools like expireddomains.net, they take it, they try to compare it to dictionary words and make them look like those words. But you also have to kind of look at these domains and make sure they make sense. Photo omission, still not in love with it, but better than float omission or whatever. So worth keeping an eye out for sure. Steal My Style. That is actually, okay, let's do some Steal My Style stuff. This one falls more into a brandable type domain name. Very much so. There's no bids. It may not even, like if we don't talk about this right now, this domain name may go for like cheap or may even go as basically it may actually expire. But Steal My Style, there are some searches, very minor. I'm guessing there's not really much. Yeah, there's no advertisers, really no cost per click. But what I'm thinking is in this world of influencers that we have, where everybody like wants to like, hey, look at what I'm wearing. You can buy it for $19.95 on my website. Steal My Style. Like, boom, every influencer out there, a directory of influencers, and you can, like, they can put up their profile with all the buy now links and affiliate things. It seems like a pretty good aggregation domain name for aggregating influencers to where you can buy their stuff. In fact, you can do this probably with that, like, you can be like, hey, here's the clothes that they have and where you can buy them, and put your affiliate links on there. I'm pretty sure that would still be okay. Like, you just have to, there has to be fair use of it. You maybe watch out with that, but there's options. But I like the domain name, fun brand, maybe an affiliate play, or you can try to get them to pay, create some tools that allow them to, monitor the clicks, set up affiliate links, and do some techie stuff. If you can save them time, save them money, there you go. You've created value, and now you can charge for that value. Okay. Well, there we go. We're in the last 5 minutes of the show, so let's wrap things up. I want to do a summary, and then I'll also just promote and mention a NFT marketing YouTube channel that I'm going to put together. It's not going to be live, I don't believe. You're my only live people. Yeah, I only want to hang out with you. I love NFTs and stuff. I think I see the future when it comes to them. But okay, so niceshot.com. We talked about that one. Great little brand. Something we say on the golf course. Something you say when you play basketball. Well, nobody ever tells me that. I tell people that all the time, but mine always somehow brick. But niceshot.com, 1885, ends in 2 days. CulinarySchool.com, this was one that we talked about most. Great for localization, applying to Local Legion 300 to get your first 300 customers. I'm certainly going to go for this domain name. It's going to go for high 4 figures. We'll see if it hits 5 figures. It could very well do it, although I'm not going to be in that unless I go upstairs and Crystal's like, it's the greatest domain ever. You should do it. Okay, Backyard Living sounds like a lifestyle magazine. Certainly something you can build a brand on and possibly do a little store. That one ends in 5 days, $55 currently. Wine Specialist, I'm not going to try to say it anymore, but Wine Specialist is a Drew-friendly way of saying wine specialist. There we go. Over $3,000, overpriced in my opinion. Certainly wouldn't have messed with it, but if you are a wine specialist and want an authoritative domain name, this one may be it. Ends tomorrow. Videoapps.com, questionably, or probably a better domain name than software. In fact, let me just check real quick. One of the nice things about this is we can toss in apps and compare it to software. And you'll see it's actually leveled off. So, okay, but videoapps.com is going to end in 5 days, $45 currently. I would highly recommend you not bid on this domain name till way late in the auction. You could possibly get it for cheap if you wait. Otherwise, it will be picked up by a bunch of people that are watching for people bidding on domain names, and then they'll pay more than you. So wait as long as possible. Jazzplayer.com, love it from the idea of jazz bands are made up a bunch of individual musicians that's a lot of times come together for their gigs. You can help them pull together a band and local gigs and things. $40, ends in 4 days. Fun little, if you're passionate about jazz, worth doing. DolphinTour.com, one of the most popular tours that people look to book when they're around the water. So possibly worth looking at DolphinTour.com. As you see with that low bid price, do not bid until 5 minutes and 10 seconds left. Put in your maximum proxy bid or significantly higher, like maybe 60, 80% of your max bid in there at 5 minutes and 10 seconds. And because auctions extend 5 minutes every time a new bid comes in. So catch them possibly sleeping with it. So DolphinTour.com, again, ends in 4 days, currently $12. Anticipate that one going for a few hundred, though. And then Steal My Style. It's Drew's brand fashion thing. Nobody's stealing my style, but they may want to look to steal the influencer style out there. Currently a super cheap domain name, no bids yet, so you'll want to wait. Ends in 3 days, wait 5 minutes left, and maybe you'll get it for cheap, $10, even $12. So there you go. Okay, now over to my portfolio. I want to show the domain names that I won. I won a domain name, a couple domain names actually. The one that I ended up buying for way too much, here it was. I did not mean to buy it. I bought getvisitors.com for $1,100. You can probably see that one down there. That was on last week's show. I kind of didn't mean to buy this domain name here. Long story short, I got notified that the auction was ending. I looked, it's within 2 minutes of the domain name auction ending. I kind of panicked, tossing a bid, thinking that it would just like give me 5 minutes to think about it. And that bid won the freaking auction. It's worth it. It's outside of my primary business, not really all that excited about having it. But It's worth the money. But what I am excited about is flowergrowers.com. We bought that one last week. We talked about it in the show. I believe I said it was probably 880 that I'd bail out at. We ended up getting that for $609. And after I bought it, one of my buddies said, "Oh, that's a really good domain name, seeing how, with cannabis growing." And I'm like, cannabis? And it occurred to me, yes, they refer to marijuana, like it's flower. That's what they call it, is flower. So where's flower growers? Like, I'm sitting here thinking florists and stuff. So the domain name, after I already purchased it, went up in value. So I just was excited about that. That was, and it's always nice to see. And then did not get Idea Spa. That was one of them that I wanted. And there's another one, ideachat.com, which also missed out on that one as well. So there you go. Lots of good domain names. I'll just take 1 minute to mention that I am setting up a YouTube channel for NFT marketing. This is especially for those, not really for the individual NFT person. It's for anyone who's considering setting up a NFT project. So if you're looking to set up an NFT project, you might be thinking like, well, like, what's like an NFT project? Like there's so many of them. How do you get business off of it? And that's the good question. So many NFT projects nowadays are failing. But let me share this out real quick. Hopefully you can see this. I'm going to post this on my YouTube too, because unfortunately, because it's a brand new channel, nobody's going to look up that. But if you do a search for NFT marketing, just look for my picture. But you'll be able to find that. I'm going to be starting to post content out there. But you can, of course, follow me on Twitter. I don't talk about NFTs here on Domain to Profit because domains are my main thing. But as you may know from Twitter, NFTs are definitely, there's a big thing coming, and NFTs are going to be a major piece of them. Not images, not the JPEG things. It's a byproduct of it, which you'll hear me talk about on NFT marketing. So again, if you're thinking about doing a project, you'll want to follow that channel. Follow me there. I'm going to be giving some really, really vital marketing advice for NFT projects that if they do not follow, they will end up going to zero in the long term. Their project will die. So unfortunately, bummer. Bummer, dude. Bummer. Well, that is it. If you have not already, for the mainstream here, Domain to Profit, make sure you've liked, make sure you have subscribed to the channel. Yeah. I'm always reminded that I should mention that earlier, which I'm just not very good at self-promotion, but I do appreciate you being here. Thank you for joining me. I'm Drew Wash's Domain to Profit. See you next week, Domain to Profit, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we are here each week. Me and the community of all of you who are freaking awesome in the chat. Thanks for joining me. Domain to Profit. See you next week.